Okay. Hello.
Morning, Stacey.
Morning. I didn't want to interrupt your session, so I was just waiting to see if you were done.
I'm done.
Okay. I shall reclaim host then.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry.
No worries. We have the only session that is back to back on the same Zoom account.
Well, actually, and just to say, when in the middle of mine, it said you've been signed out because somebody else has signed in. So if that happens, you know that nothing happened my session. I don't think you still all saw me. So don't be fearful that you've been dropped or anything. It's still there.
No, I signed in so I could log in.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything with
I know that, but it just because it could be a bit alarming when it comes up, but just to say it didn't change. So yeah.
We've only got one license.
Perfect.
So that's the way it works. I realized that when I went into a Zoom meeting, I thought, oh no, I'm going to stop it. But I didn't.
No, you didn't. But just in case you thought, because I was like, it still says I'm sharing, so I think everything's okay.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So yeah, we've got James with us. And we thought we'd just start off by playing a little bit of music to give people time to turn up. So I'm going to share my screen with the music right now. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. Share sound. And
when I think about the word magic, I think about the world, nature, the earth.
The rhythm of life is there all around us, and it's there for us. You know, in our everyday lives when we're busy and we're going from here to there, sometimes it's important to stop and notice, just observe.
It's us as a people. There's so much magic in us as a people.
In, you know, the way where we talk, the way that we dance, our style.
Believe in the magic. We are the magic.
See the pattern of life and see that. Know that it's something that's been going on since the beginning of time. It's timeless. And tapping into that timeless space is where the magic lives.
So no summertime fling, rocking to the rhythm and the style we are bring. Energy electric, I step in at the ring, chipping and a tripping with a pretty little thing. And I know that it's gonna be my day. Spread the love and it's gonna go my way. Middle of the road and we can't do a thing when the vibes start popping out, popping out, popping out. Yeah. Feel it when the sun comes up, even when it rains down. Don't miss the magic. Yeah. So blessed to have it. When the sun comes up, even when it rains down, don't miss the magic, yeah. So blessed to have it, yeah. I just wanna feel free tonight, yeah. Let it all go, no need to hide. Energy up, we ain't coming down. Everybody wanna, I'll give you mine. Vibes right up, from the way your body wine. Can't get enough, can you feel it now? Soul, yeah. Go ahead and let the world know, yeah. From night until morning, yeah. Them already know that them want it. Hey, yeah. See me out, going my way. Spread the love and it's gonna be my day. It's a whole sort of gal in the street party. Now the whole thing popping out, popping out, popping out, yeah. Feel it when the sun comes up, even when it rains down. Don't miss the magic. So blessed to have it. Just wanna have some fun, and I just wanna get down. Don't miss the magic, yeah. So blessed to have it, so blessed. It's the new calypso, and she shaking up she hips so. It's the new calypso, How she shaking up she hips so. Yeah, see me out, going round. Spread the love and it's gonna be mighty. Love, love, love. Yeah. We got the magic. Believe in the magic. Believe in the magic. Believe in the magic. We got the magic. We got the magic. Believe in the magic.
Right. I'm in a great mood now. So I will start our session with the official spiel for the session. And let me stop sharing for a minute there. Right. If I put this over here. Okay. Well, we're already recording from the last session. So I'll start with that. That we're recording this session for further experimental research. But welcome to Talk and Draw with me, Stacey Lee Ross, and I'm really excited to have James Hackett of the Lush Kingdom with me, who is probably going to run rings and circles around me in digital art, but that's okay.
Morning, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how we first learned about racial, social, and environmental justice while we draw the feelings that come up from those stories that we unearth. And let's see, I'm just going to go through all the kind of housekeeping bits. So we are part of I'm part of, and I've invited James for today, so he's an honorary member today, part of the Experimental Pedagogies Research Group at UAL. And this is a research collective and we're creating a protective anti-discrimination space of mutual respect that should cause no harm. And the aim here is always to create good. And I suppose I should put in a trigger warning that some of the things that we discuss and the stories that come up from our experiences might be triggers for people who have had experiences that are similar. And if that is the case, then please feel free to drop out of the session, come back in when you feel ready to join, or not come back in at all. We'll understand. I know self-care is important, so we have to look after ourselves. With that, just to explain how the session will run, we're doing those three questions. How did you first learn about racial justice? How did you first learn about social justice? And how did you first learn about environmental justice? And so we'll have three drawings at the end. I'm going to put a link in the chat so that you can either look at us drawing, because we're drawing on the same platform together, or you can do your own drawing while you listen to us, and then if you do, let me put this in the chat here. So to draw, use that link. And then when you're done with your drawing, there's a little bit at the top that you can just click to invite somebody to view the board. So you can share your drawing with us afterwards. And that'll be awesome, basically. You don't need any special login, download, or anything like that. Just go to the site and start. And when you're done, if you can send any links to show me your art, send it to, and I'm going to put the link in the chat as well. Email your creations to. All right, so I think what we'll do now is just do a really quick intro so you know who's doing the drawing. So I'm Stacey. I'm a life story artist. I'm an associate lecturer at London College of Communication, which is part of the University of the Arts London. And my specialty is inclusive practice. And I'm currently doing a PhD called Carnival of Compassion, blending Caribbean Carnival and art exhibitions to create, I hope, a more compassionate approach from all of us. But today I am joined by the most illustrious and fabulous James Hackett. And I won't gush anymore. James, tell them how and why you are so fabulous, because it's amazing.
I guess I'm fabulous because I'm me.
Yes.
I'm just happy to be here, creating work and sharing it. For most of the time, I've been working and creating art out of the Caribbean with a huge interest in Carnival and telling the stories of the Caribbean people in many different ways, you know, trying to communicate that to the rest of the world, because I think we have so many wonderful stories to share and offer the rest of the world. And people, when they do discover what we have to offer, they are very interested and really do have a good time with our offerings. Primarily, I work in the space of illustration and fashion design right now. That evolved out of me starting as a graphic designer. I don't know if we have enough time, or I could have shown some of my work.
Well, if you want to show it now while you're talking.
All right, so I'll try to be brief.
Yeah, if you just flick through a couple of images while you're talking about, you know, overview.
It's I can't share at the moment, so I'll just
no. Hang on. Let me fix that.
I've left my Instagram in the chat.
Right. For some reason, right, I'm just going to make you the host so you can share, and then I'll figure out the co-hosting afterwards. There you go. You can share.
I have the powers. So I just kind of put these together quickly just to run through some of what I've been doing. So for me, it's even if I work in 3D or print design, it's trying to kind of showcase honest storytelling about who I am and the people that I interact with and live with. So you'll see like me trying to represent that in the designs and the imagery that is created ultimately. And just trying to have some fun putting that out there. And so far it's working, I think. People respond to it. It's finding an interesting voice out there. And, you know, Stacey is here inviting me to continue to try to tell some of those stories and showcase, you know, and let people get a chance to, I guess, have a conversation or be part of some of the what is trying to be said from myself, which is why I named the brand that I'm working on called Lush Kingdom, inspired by Caribbean life and living. And that experience of being from the Caribbean and enjoying the beauty that is the Caribbean. So this is the junction where we're at, and just kind of excited to tell those stories more today with Stacey and with the rest of you guys.
All right, well, shall we get started then? I will take back host and then share my screen. So you guys, everybody, if you want to draw, you've got the link in the chat to draw. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what James and I are creating as we go. And let's kick it off. Our first question. Hold on, let me screen two. There we go. Share. All right, so everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Let's get that tablet going. Right. So first question, James, I don't know if you want to kick off with this one. What's your first memory, earliest moment of learning about racial justice or injustice?
I think I would like to let you guide me through a little bit, and I'll
No problem.
I'll join along the way.
All right, no problem. All right, my earliest memory of this, I think I deliberately did not do. I didn't take on the signs and the hints and all the things that were coming at me for a long time. I held on to my, I guess, post-colonial issued glasses that were very rose tinted about what things were. And yeah, I deliberately did not want to see. So I made sure I did not see until I had no choice but to see, if you know what I mean. And so I would say the earliest memory consciously is actually when I was 40. And after that, when I look back, then suddenly I was like, oh. That memory is sitting on my kitchen floor, sobbing after listening to the news and realizing, no, it's not the same man that they talked about yesterday. It's a third man that's been murdered by police in the US. That came after two other things. One being that I was home with my kids for almost 6 years by that point, and I very much felt like a husband that never was. And I don't know. I think because I'd been home for so long, but also for the first time, I took part in a thing called Carnival Expo at the Oval in London, and I was blown away. There were all these first and second generation Caribbean people, and they were brilliant. They were, so loud and excited and colorful.
For them?
Yeah, and it for me, it was like, I used to be like that. When did I stop being like that? And it made me realize that I'd actually spent a solid 8 years here in the UK trying to make myself beige and to fit in. But in doing that, I'd lost me. And so I was looking at all these people with wild hairstyles, they're laughing loud, whereas I was trying to not laugh so loud and be so uncouth. And I was looking at them going, God, why am I trying to be something I'm not? I mean, and a lot of my maternity clothes I'd got from friends who were British. And, not that I wasn't grateful, but a lot of the clothes were white, gray, denim, and black. And I like colors.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, God, where Stacey, where did you go? So the combination of that, followed by the stuff that was happening in the US. And I think maybe the most honest thing I could say at this point is when I heard that stuff happening in the US, I had some really ugly thoughts. And this bit is probably the trigger warning. I remember sitting on my kitchen floor thinking of my family members that were in the US. And I was thinking, well, okay, well, the boys, my cousins and my uncles, they're light-skinned enough, The police could mistake them for white people and they'll be fine. And then I caught myself thinking, well, I married a white guy, so I don't have to worry about his safety. And I think the point at which I really had to just stop and go, what the hell is this? Is when I thought, thank God my son doesn't look like me. He looks more like his dad. And even saying it now, like I could feel my whole body just kind of, but I was very aware that those were some really crappy thoughts to be having. But I was also really aware that those were some very practical thoughts. And when you have to think that in a world, if you could exist in a world where those kind of shitty thoughts are practical, then something's wrong. And then suddenly I had to kind of reframe everything else that I'd encountered and realize that, okay, all those excuses you've made, that time that you were in Edinburgh with Chris and you're both dressed the same in rain slickers and jeans, and you entered a store and the security guard followed you, but not him. And you excuse that. I excused that. I was like, oh no, maybe it's, and oh, maybe they don't get a lot of Black people. If I remember saying that, I mean, oh God, how hard was I trying to stay colorblind? So yeah, I think that for me was the real eye-opening moment. That for me was the, oh shit,
Yeah.
You can't avoid and deny this anymore. You're gonna have to acknowledge there is a problem, and you, with your ignorance and colorblindness, are part of it. So yeah, that's my earliest memory of being honest about it anyway. Not about experiencing. There are probably earlier experiences that I explained away.
Yeah. I guess for me, so we're talking about experiencing racial injustice, right?
Yeah, our earliest memory of learning about it.
So for me, it's like, it almost feels like it's it's something that you've lived with, in a sense, at least from my experience, to the point where either you become a bit numb about it, or sometimes it's something that has been relegated to, like, a further region at the back of all the other things that might be going on. And I think when certain situations bring it to the front in such a major way as, like, some of the incidences in the US and stuff, you start to really think back about how maybe pervasive it may have been, that you just kind of figured out how to exist whilst that is happening. But at the same time, it created a lot of discomfort, I think, for many people who, I guess, had to kind of face the awkwardness of it, the uncomfortable nature of it, the horror of it, for people who directly were influenced by some of these things. And you realize that we needed to get to a point where some of these conversations had to get to the front. For someone like myself, as I said, it's kind of experiencing a lot of those things. Sometimes it's like micro, and you learn to recognize it and just kind of move past it. Because sometimes you get in a space where you don't want to turn every person that you see into the enemy.
Yeah.
And try to create opportunities where you could, I guess, educate people by experiencing you, and maybe find ways to create bridges and find ways so that the experience of each other could make us come out on the other side better for it. All right. But I suppose it started with having those uncomfortable things being brought back up to the forefront, because for different reasons, some of us are just trying to exist. And sometimes, like you were saying, like, you're faced with situations where you're a mother, you're a wife, you're also just trying to live your life, in this new location. So some of these things, even though you might be questioning it and have, to me, have certain wondering if you should be asking those questions. I think sometimes that's very normal.
But that's where the growth happens, isn't it? That's when you ask
Yeah,
those questions, when you start to do the reflection, as
yeah,
they say, when you start to do the work.
yeah. Um, but I think the best thing to come out of it is that, okay, so this is out in the open, what next? And I think in some instances we're seeing what next. You're seeing more inclusion. You're seeing more opportunities for conversation. And you're seeing more people given space and more consideration, which I think kind of started some of these things, right? Because there's a lot of information and understanding about each other that is either propaganda based or just not fully, people are just not fully aware of each other. And I say each other because it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
So for me, in terms of like my first recognition of it, I think it's always been there in a sense. And I'm saying that as like a male person who is on the darker side of things, so I've always kind of gotten accustomed to certain situations. But it I guess it was just kind of brought to fruition or in like a larger context for me when like all those protests started and all the people started like a bunch of different conversations around the killings, etc.
Yeah.
And like yourself, I have a lot of friends who are parents who were in some of these areas, and people were just, there's like a lot of emotion and a lot of people thinking about their situations and what could happen. So it was just a time for me to kind of learn a little bit more in a broader context about everything.
All right. Do you want to continue on this canvas, or do you want to go on a new one for the next question?
We could go on a new one. I was enjoying my carnival crown.
Yeah, I don't know why the whole thing's not showing. I think it's because of the menu is blocking it, but yeah, we'll start a new one.
Okay.
Let's go here. And you start drawing. Let me invite you, James.
All right, just you need to share it back to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop it to you in the chat.
Yeah, Anthony, raising consciousness.
Yeah. Hi, Nige. There we go. Right, so this is our second board. I just sent it to you in a direct message.
Okay.
All right.
On Zoom or in?
Yeah, in Zoom. In Zoom. Yeah. So, what color canvas you want for social justice?
Let's go with green. I think send it to the just the Hackett one, not James Hackett, because I'll use.
Oh no, I sent it into the Zoom chat, but directly to you.
Yeah, I have two of myself here. Sorry.
Oh.
I have the camera and
okay, sorry, just to Hackett. All right, sorry. Yeah. I didn't realize you were in duplicate.
Yeah, just so I could have the camera. All right, thank you.
Okay, got it. No worries.
Yeah.
All right. So let's make a background. Oh, let's go bus-eye green, man.
All right, let's go.
And see what we end up with. Ta-da. All right. So
that is lime green.
Yeah, we're going for bright.
Okay.
First thoughts, well, not first thoughts, but first experiences of learning about social justice. Earliest memory of learning about social justice.
Okay. You want me to go first this time?
Yeah.
Since you go first. So for me, it actually came from I'm gonna guess it came from an interesting place with this. It's experiencing the Me Too movement.
Mm.
You know, because so we'll go from, you know, as we were just talking about in terms of wrestling with different issues one group may have had, or, you know, the problems one group may have had, to another group, which in some instances, me being a man would have been privileged. And around that time, I had like a lot of young women as students, and because of school and university as well, a lot of my friends were women. And you know, despite all of that, despite going through adulthood and all these different things, the Me Too movement was an eye-opener for me. Right. And I think a lot of it came down to, just as like I was saying before, just honestly listening to what people are saying. Because and realizing, which was uncomfortable for me, realizing that a lot of what I was taught as a man was a lot of crap. You know, you have like a lot of really horrible advice that you're given, and some of that is, in some ways, I guess, stronger in Caribbean societies. You know, the expectations of women, and what is accepted as comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and then realizing that, well, listening to what people are saying, that, you know what, this is wrong, and we need to address this, and, you know, some of these things need to be spoken about a little bit more. And I think it was also being thankful, because I realized I was surrounded by a lot of fantastic women who were able to kind of educate me through that whole period, both directly or indirectly, by what they were saying and writing, and the conversations that we had. You know, so for me, it was kind of going through that experience, and really realizing that, you know, there are ways that you could help people, you know, even if you're not part of that group, but you can be a strong ally, you know, and advocate for that group, and speak, you know, openly about making some of those experiences better, and making their lives better, and having some kind of impact, you know, without trying to be, you know, without, you know, minimizing your effort, and minimizing the movement that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that. I think for me, memories of social justice that come to mind, my earliest ones are probably in Form 6. I went to a Catholic secondary school, a prestige school, as we would call it in Trinidad.
All right.
And for those of you who are not from Trinidad, that means that this school is run by the Catholic Church, but it's part state funded. So it is partially a state school and partially not. I don't know what format they have these days, but that's how it was when I was there.
Yeah, it's pretty much that still.
Okay. And so for me, I remember being in religious education class. Oh God, I spent so much time in the principal's office because I literally, I asked questions that nobody wanted to answer. And that was unpopular. Teachers were not impressed with that.
Being a miserable upstart.
Yes, I did not know my place. I still do not know my place, and may I never know my place. But yeah, I had a teacher who very much, I remember this one class where she was talking about different religions, different faiths, and she talked about Hinduism. And we had Hindu students in the class, and I couldn't understand why she didn't just ask them. But I managed to hold my tongue for that, which I'm rather impressed with myself about. But where I didn't hold my tongue is when she went into a conversation about what she called New Age religions, and said that New Age religions believe that babies are born wanting to be dead.
Oh.
And at first, and the thing is, I knew people in religions that were considered New Age. So, you know, Akanka and humanists and metaphysicians and that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, they don't think that. And so, stupid me, with my overinflated sense of right and wrong and black and white and justice. And I don't mean black and white race-wise, I just mean in terms of it's either right or it's wrong.
Right.
I jumped in, I opened my big gob, and I was like, but who are these religions you're talking about, you know? And how did you find that out? For that matter, how did they find out that babies don't, you know, are born wanting to be dead or any of this stuff? And she looked at me and said, go to the office. And that was the start of a lot of go to the office. In fact, I think on the fourth time she said, I don't want you in this class anymore. You're banned from this religion class. Because I didn't understand, and I kept asking questions, and she didn't have the answers and didn't want to say so. I mean, now I know she didn't want to say so, but at the time it was just like, so I got really familiar with the principals. I'd be sitting down in front of the principal's desk, and so I got really familiar. Oh, she got a new pen. I haven't seen that highlighter here before. Yeah, I got real familiar with that. So, I mean, talking about that reminds me that maybe I haven't changed that much. Still getting in trouble. But that was the first time I think I remember thinking, wait, hang on, people are being misrepresented, and they're not getting a voice to say how they what they think and how they feel, or to counter a narrative that is untrue about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my first moment of going, this can't be right. And I have got myself in a lot of problems speaking up for people and then having them go completely silent when the teachers go, well, who else feels like this? And then I'm left holding the lemon, you know? And I'm thinking, you were just complaining about it. So, yeah, but it took me another long time to realize not everybody feels strong enough or safe enough to open their mouths and have a voice about these things. And if I choose to speak about them, then choose to speak about them for me, not for others necessarily, but for me.
Yeah.
And if that helps others, great. But don't speak up and then expect the backup, if you know what I mean. So that would have been the social change kind of awareness. And that just kept broadening as I went along, as I did, you know, I read books and attended the different classes on inclusive practice and teaching. And yeah, and that was, you know, like things like Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire, I can never say it, Freire, that's it.
Good.
Yeah, where he that was the first time I kind of learned this idea that we can be both the oppressed and the oppressor.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, oh, and then soon after that, I had discussions about accessibility for people with disabilities. And I realized, oh yeah, in this respect, I am absolutely the oppressor. And so, yeah, that was quite a learning curve in that respect for me. I kind of don't want to finish this drawing, but we do need to go to the next question.
Okay. I just started to get a little more comfortable drawing.
Yeah, let's stay on this one
So
then.
I can be ready for the next one if you want.
Do you want to stay here or do you want to go to the next one?
We can go to the next one.
Okay. All right. I'll just leave my strange looking bamboo that I haven't finished there then. And for those who, oh yeah, I've seen a comment here by and Anthony about Francis Fanon. Yeah.
Oh, they say don't change.
Yeah,
All right,
I don't think I could.
We could work some stuff. Hey, it's fine.
Yeah, so if you want, I'll go to a new board. Otherwise, we can stay here. What do you want to do?
Let's do a new board. I think I have something I want to try.
All right. Okay, new board. Dun, 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 dun. There. All right. New board. New question. Okay, so last question.
Send me the link.
Yeah, sorry. Last question is, when did you first learn about environmental justice and injustice? Or first become aware of environmental justice or injustice?
Okay. Am I going first on this one again?
Up to you. I can go first and you can tackle the board and give us a background color or.
Okay, let me.
All right, if you're hitting the board, I'll start. So my first kind of awareness of environmental justice. I think what I've realized thinking about these three questions and my first experiences with them is that you have a lot of experiences, and I for all of them, I could think of a lot of experiences in my youth where these things were coming up and I just didn't recognize it for what it was. So I can think of going to a beach and seeing loads of litter and being really ticked off, or seeing people standing on the backs of leatherback turtles that came to lay their eggs, because Trinidad is one of the places where leatherback turtles migrate regularly at a certain point in the year to lay eggs. And I'm getting really upset, like, you know, who the hell would stand on a turtle trying to lay eggs? What is wrong with you? But not being, maybe I didn't have the language, or maybe I didn't understand conceptually what it was. But yeah, I think kind of awareness of environmental issues as environmental issues didn't happen until much later in that respect. And I think the most recent recognition I've had around environmental issues for me is the most profound. And that literally only happened last year. So yeah, learning continues, people, long after schooling. And my learning of those environmental issues was very much, yeah, I was invited to take part in a climate emergency event. And I was quite busy at the time, but I was curious. And when I started looking into it, I found I was getting angrier and angrier. And I didn't quite understand why. And I had to talk it through, and then finally figured out that, oh, okay, the thing that I was upset about was that this particular event was using a lot of Black culture to promote climate issues, but nobody in the organization of the event was Black. And all the material promoting the event, I saw one Black person in that material. And it was an event that ran for 12 months, but I was being invited to join it as somebody who knew about that aspect of Black culture in the last month. And it felt very much like, are you just asking me to come in to co-sign to say, hey, we've checked in with a Black person and it's okay?
Right.
Now at this point, when I can't actually make any impact, I can't change much, things are pretty much set in stone and running as they are. And I didn't want anything to do with it. But it taught me a lot because I couldn't understand. I mean, the rage I was feeling was surreal. I was just like, why are you so angry? And I had to do a lot of talking because I was just like, girl, calm down. You're going to give yourself some kind of aneurysm or something. What is this about? But I realized that it just felt like you are co-opting something that is my culture when people of my culture are the ones struggling the most. The temperature in Trinidad is ridiculous compared to what it was when I was growing up.
Yes.
And the record high for temperature just keeps going up and up and up. The water levels are going up. Countries are shrinking in the Caribbean. You and I had conversations about sustainability and trying to talk in international settings, and they want you to be green, but they've made being green inaccessible and expensive. And I'm thinking, how dare you, when we've been talking about this for ages, talking about stewardship of our planet, and you've been ignoring us. And now that you're ready, now that it's affecting you, now you want my input? And I didn't realize how strongly I felt about that until that moment. And that was, for me, that was really eye-opening. And I'm still processing. I still haven't figured out how I want to kind of deal with that and address it, because that my kind of instinctive reaction is, no, I don't want to take part in your damn environmental thing, but I am on the planet, so I do care what happens to the planet.
Yeah.
So I can't take that approach, but I need to work it out in my head. So I'm still working it out. But yeah, it was quite eye-opening. It was like, oh, okay, all right, I see you now. I get it. Let's work on that.
So for me, the current conversation about sustainability, it's a little uncomfortable. And sometimes it puts me in a spot, because we absolutely 100% need to be really, really thinking about sustainable measures, especially in the fashion industry, which contributes so much to the damage of our environment.
Yeah.
And at the same time, just gonna put myself a layer below you. At the same time, a lot of that conversation about sustainability and being able to address some of these things is out of pocket for many of these smaller nations and smaller communities, who in some ways have actually been sustainable in their practices, and in the way that they would put together fashion and work with communities, work with like smaller groups and teams of people, but been put out of business by some of these larger conglomerates who are now coming back and telling them, well, we're kind of going back to this thing that you had to leave behind because you couldn't keep up, So people do want to be a part of that conversation in terms of sustainability, but you might find that there would be a hesitation from some of these smaller communities because, you know, it's an expensive game now.
Yeah.
And you wonder how much of it is really about sustainability as opposed to, you know, like building up a
Performance.
new, yeah, you know, and building up like a new kind of I guess like an economic environment that will also lock another group of people out who will have to follow this path to catch up, you know. But you're gonna be left in an impossible situation because, again, you know, we're seeing the changes in the environment, and we know that there's a lot of issues there that needs to be addressed by all of humanity. You know, but it's hard. And some may not want to, and you kind of don't want to fault them for that. You know, so where do we go with that conversation after? And how do we fix it? You know?
Ain't that the $1 million question?
And that it's something that people wouldn't want to bring up a lot because how dare you say that kind of stuff, you know, like what you don't want to be sustainable, you don't want to help the environment, you know.
I don't want to do it on your timeline because I've been doing this forever and you've been ignoring me. So I don't want to do it on your timeline. I think about, you know, the people in the rainforest, the tribes that have been shouting for ages and nobody's, you know, they've been begging for support. And suddenly it's like, oh, we must save the planet. Oh, dude, only now figuring that out?
Yeah. Yeah. The good thing is that in this process, you're seeing people coming back around to practices, you know, from traditional cultures, you know, that that can be helpful. You know, we're rethinking the way that we package our goods, for example, using other methods, sometimes using traditional methods. I saw something out of Southeast Asia where people were packaging goods and foods using a basket that was quickly woven by hand using coconut leaves, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're hoping that we could go towards a solar punk future where we find instead of dystopian, so we're more of a utopian kind of thing closely.
I
where
love
we
that.
find with
Solar punk.
Yeah, you know,
I love
so,
that.
solar punk gives us that. It has, there are elements in there that can be really good if we could find the right harmony, because solar punk aims to blend technology with our natural environment, and you find more and more people getting an interest in that future for us all. I'm trying to remember the yogurt company. They did like a wonderful ad that was more than just an ad for them, that really captured the essence of solar punk. The name of it is escaping my brain right now, but it's a very popular yogurt brand. Yeah, so that's, I guess that's Chobani. Yeah, Chobani, they really kind of spoke about it. And I think like the business itself, the way that company was built, and some of the what they stand for, like really speak to I guess pointing towards better ways for us to exist now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I
like your son.
Thank you. I like your person. I would have taken me 3 hours to do here, but that's why you're the digital artist and I'm not. So I think it's time for us to start wrap up, because the whole 24 hours that this has been part of, comes to a close. The last session starts in 5 minutes, which is more of a wrap up. But yeah, we're getting a lot of love in the chat. And I mean, thank you so much for joining me, James. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
I love the juxtaposition of us both having kind of a start in the same country and culture, but very different experiences. And then at the same time going, you know, me being here in the UK and teaching within the UK higher education system, and you teaching in Trinidad higher education system. And I haven't been living in Trinidad for almost 18 years now. So this is, it is so, we've started almost in the same point, but ended up in different directions, but still facing the same way. In a
Life
sort of,
is rich.
yeah. I'm just loving that connection. And so thank you to everybody that joined. So pleased that you could join us for this. We will, I think what we'll try to do is see if on the EPRG website, we can put links to these drawings so that you can access them if you want to. And thank you very much for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks, Stacey. You've been a great host, and I really appreciated the invite to come here and do this. This was great, and thanks everyone for joining in and your comments as well.
Exhibition. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it again. Maybe we'll do it again and try that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just thank you. Absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. All right, so thank you for joining us. And I should put the link to the next session if anybody wants to hop across to that. Hang on. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. The last session. Oh wait, no, the last open session for today. Copy link address here. And I'll put that in the chat if anybody wants to hop across and join for that final session. Brilliant. Wherever you are in the world, the time is now. Be the change you want to see and go forth, create, be merry. Don't conquer, just love.
just love. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, take care.
Okay, bye. Right, how do I, gotta stop the recording. Dun, dun, dun. So let me stop sharing first. And then stop the recording.
Just to say, Stacey, I'm getting everything into the recording bit.
Yeah.
So it will be recorded, but it's just getting a bit tricky because there's only